Hey everybody, I'm Brydon, aka The Terrible Australian at supermastery.com, and welcome to my video review of The Huntsman Winter's War, which of course is the sequel to the 2012 film Snow White and the Huntsman. So let's get right into it. Now, I should say, start off my sort of very brief thoughts on the first film, Snow White and the Huntsman. I thought it was okay. It wasn't the greatest film ever, but I thought it was okay for what it was. Like, it was as sort of this sort of like really sort of dark, fantastical sort of take on the Snow White story. And for the most part, I thought it was okay, like I said. But at the same time, it was such a visually stylish film that had great special effects and some pretty cool aspects to it. And of course, it's sort of a very fun sort of scenery-chewing performance from Charlize Theron. So I thought it was fine for what it is, and not kind of. And I heard at the time there were rumblings for possibly a sequel. And even then, and I still think of this now, I just don't feel like that film was really sort of crying out for a sequel. And I thought, okay, maybe it's just one of those things where it's talked about and it's never, never actually gets made. But here we are, 2016, with the prequel slash sequel, The Huntsman Winter's War, which this time focuses on Chris Hemsworth's character, Eric the Huntsman. And Snow White is not in this film at all. Well, she is very briefly, but it's more of sort of like you see her from the back, so you don't see like who's playing her. So Kristen Stewart's not in this film at all, and it doesn't surprise me given the controversy that happened with her and the director on the last film, but that's a whole different story. So it's pretty much is kind of this time focusing on the character of Eric, played by Chris Hemsworth, and sort of we explore in the first half of the film sort of his backstory, and then we sort of follow the events after a few years after the events of Snow White and the Huntsman. And I have to say this, as a film overall, like, I honestly didn't really like this film. And I think the kind of the main reasons why I didn't is that it feels incredibly forced. Like, I think it's like almost as if the filmmakers kind of knew that this kind of a sequel to Snow White and the Huntsman just seemed rather pointless. So, and you can see them sort of trying desperately to try to make something that would try to make a sequel happen in terms of, trying to create a new story and characters and all that. But to me, it just feels like sort of a very big budget version of a direct-to-video sequel. And I'm talking about like the ones like, your Cruel Intentions 3 or your Donnie or as Darkos and stuff like that. The ones that sequels to films that are just not necessary and you don't really need them. Like, except this one has a bit of a big budget behind it. Although surprisingly though, the first film was a pretty epic film in terms of like being a big budget film. I think this one feels very small in comparison, and I think, and so that's where it's sort of the whole direct to video kind of angle kind of played up for me, because that's what it sort of felt like, but with slightly more money added to it. And also the story just feels incredibly forced and contrived, and it just doesn't really add anything to the story or anything. And also, you can also tell, like, watching it, that the Disney film Frozen might have been a big influence on this, because Emily Blunt's character is the sister of Charlize Theron's character, and her character, with Emily Blunt's character, she's the Ice Queen. So you can tell that they're trying in a way to, I guess, get the Frozen audience for this one by having a character, sort of an Ice Queen character in it. But I don't know, it's just, like, I will say this, the film does visually look fine. The film this time though, is directed by Cedric Nicolas-Troyan. This is his directorial debut, and I thought he did an okay job for most part. It's competently made, I should say. Nothing in terms of make fantastic by any means necessary, but he did visually. The film looks good. Some of the action sequences are fine. But yeah, like, directing wise, it's competent. But on a script writing level, it just feels incredibly forced and pointless. And also, like, everyone in the cast, I mean, it has to say something when one of the original dwarfs from the first film is back in this one, and everyone else didn't come back at all. And that, of course, in this one is Nick Frost, who's the only original one of the dwarfs to come back for this one. Although you get a couple of new dwarfs in there, one of them played by Rob Brydon and a few others as well, and also female dwarfs as well. So that was, which I thought was interesting, and that's kind of, and you can tell they're trying to they're sort of the more comic relief characters of the film, and you know, they're trying their best to make all of this, you know, bring a lot of humor to the film, but a lot of the humor just really falls flat. You can tell that everyone in this film is trying to make the best film possible, but unfortunately, it just didn't work. Like, and even the performances are slightly lackluster. I mean, I think Chris Hemsworth, Emily Blunt, and Jessica Chastain are great actors. And you can see that they're trying really hard, but unfortunately, they're just not really given much to do with. And also, Jessica Chastain, and I love Jessica Chastain, I thought her Scottish accent was pretty bad as well. And this is definitely one of her, my least favourite performances. Not to say that she doesn't try, but it's just like, you can tell that everyone in this film just feels like they're just in it for the paycheck, pretty much. And the only person who seems like who's having a ball in this film is, of course, Charlize Theron, who does come back, who surprisingly isn't in the film as much as I expected it to be. Like she's only, yeah, she's not in it as much as I thought, which is kind of surprising. But whenever she's on screen, that's when the film kind of at least comes alive a bit, because, you know, she's just chewing the scenery just beautifully. So, and just having a lot of fun with it. And she knows that the type of film that she's in as well. So, yeah, overall, the Huntsman Winter's War, just a very forced, contrived, and unnecessary sequel that just didn't really have any reason to be made, like, at all, really. Like, it just feels incredibly forced. So, it has its good quality. Some of the, like, visually it looks good. Some of the set pieces are fine, and the actors do try, but overall it's just but unfortunately it just ends up being a rather dull affair, unfortunately. So, if I had to give this film a rating, I give it about 2 out of 5. So, yep, that's the end of my video review of The Huntsman Winter's War. I hope you guys all enjoyed it, and I'll see you all later. See you, everyone.